As always, thanks for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take the humble PENN Wrath and sprinkle it with a little bit of beast mode.
By Columbus, here he is right here.
In other words, I'm going to show you how to massively upgrade the drag system and double the ball bearing count of this reel. And I'm talking stainless steel sealed ball bearings. Alright, now the stock or base model PENN Wrath is very cheap compared to its more expensive relatives that have obviously more features. If you already have a PENN Wrath that has been serving you for a few years now, these upgrades that I'm going to show you in this video might be right for you. At the end of the day, if you're starting from scratch, just go out and purchase a PENN Pursuit 4 if you're looking for the added performance that I'm showing you in this video. By the time you spec out a PENN Wrath, you're looking at about $69, which this high price is mostly due in part to the shipping and taxes required to purchase these upgrades individually. However, a new PENN Pursuit 4 is only $65 after tax if you stroll down to your local Walmart. Despite cost-cutting measures, the PENN Wrath actually shares a lot of parts commonality with other PENN reels such as the PENN Pursuit 4. If you visit Mystic Reel Parts, you can order 2 sealed stainless steel ball bearings with parts codes listed on the screen right here, and then I will give a link in the description below. To buy the upgraded drag washers, just go to eBay and type in PENN Carbon Drag Washers Wrath. I'll also provide a link in the description below. Alright, coming to you in post-production, when you buy these drag washers on eBay, make sure you have the right size. You can see on the home screen it says 3 and 4,000. That's probably the most common. That's the ones I bought. And then they have 5,000, 6,000, and 2,500. So make sure you're paying attention to what size reel you need. Alright, moving on. Let's go install some sweet upgrades. Alright, here's the Mystic Reel Parts business card. There's the 20D 5000 BTL and then the 20 CFT 3000s. And I bought 2 extra 3000s. Don't know why. Alright, there's a drag knob assembly. You can notice there that it does not have a seal on it. So if we compare it to the PENN Pursuit 4 here, the PENN Pursuit on the left had a seal and the Wrath does not. Alright, so we're going to take out this drag retaining ring. We'll just pop it out with a micro screwdriver, flathead, and that pops right on out. We'll move that aside. I'm trying to do something with it. There it is. Then I just stick my little micro screwdriver inside the spool and then dump out all of the drag washers onto that screwdriver. And you can see their order. They're nice and neat and orderly. So there's a felt washer. There's a metal keyed washer, and I like to stack them as they come out. And then there's the eared metal washer, and then a felt washer, and then another keyed washer. Alright, here are the replacement drag washers. They're carbon, and those are the ones I purchased off eBay. Now we're just going to pull out the drag washers of the PENN Pursuit 4 just for comparison. A little bit different milling inside the spool and definitely better styling. Cool. So the PENN Pursuit 4s have the HT100, which just means they have the carbon fiber drag washers. However, with the PENN Pursuit 4, there's only 4 total drag washers. 2 carbon, 2 metal. So with this upgrade, the PENN Wrath has 3 carbon washers and 3 metal washers, so it makes me wonder if the Wrath's drag system will now be better after this upgrade. So from top to bottom we have the cheap felt washer, the replacement carbon washers off eBay, and then the HT100 drag washers, which are factory from PENN in the PENN Pursuit 4. So what I do is I'm going to grease up the metal drag washers. I've heard mixed reviews. Conventional wisdom was like, don't grease up your carbon washers or your synthetic washers. I don't think it really matters that more. I don't think it matters anymore for the carbon, but I'm just going to do the metal, and then that way they can rub off a little lubrication onto the carbon washers. But I think the carbon washers are perfectly fine if they have oil on them. And that will help reduce any corrosion on that metal. So first thing we're going to stack in there is one of those new carbon washers. Then we're going to do a keyed metal washer. And then one of the new carbon washers. And then the eared, so it has 2 little ears on it, the eared metal washer. And there's little grooves for it, drilled into the spool. And then a carbon washer, and then finally a keyed washer, and we'll take that drag retaining ring and place it on top. And there's little channels along the top of the spool where that little retaining ring fits into. So you just kind of get it seated on one side, and then you're going to take a flathead screwdriver, press it in. And actually, I just did it here with my fingers. So you can either use a screwdriver, or you just do what I did, just use my fingers to press it into the respective grooves. Now that the metal drag washers aren't exactly lined up, I have to apply pressure and spin the spool. And what that does is it kind of forces the drag washers into alignment. And then I'm going to screw on the drag knob, and that drag knob is going to add additional pressure on top of that spool, and I'm going to keep spinning that spool until I make sure that all those drag washers are perfectly seated. And what you want to listen for is that clicking noise. If you're turning that spool and you're not hearing any clicking, keep tightening that drag, keep turning that spool, and you're going to force those drag washers into alignment. And then eventually you're going to get that clicking noise, and that's a good sign. That's what I'm talking about. You're listening for that noise. So first, when I put that drag knob on, I wasn't hearing anything, and then I kept tightening down until those drag washers aligned and I got the click back. All right, next we're going to unscrew our lock knob, and basically that just holds the, that secures the handle assembly on the other side to the reel and tightens everything up. So we're just going to unscrew that locking knob, and then our handle assembly pops off. And that's kind of a unique design to the cheaper rafts. The more expensive spools, you just take the handle and you just kind of like rotate it opposite direction of how the reel operates, and then they unscrew out. All right, then we just removed all of the housing cover screws. Then I'm going to take a micro flathead, just kind of wiggle the seam of that housing cover, and it should start to come free. There's no seals or anything. It's a cheaper reel. You don't have to worry about that. So just get a good footing on it, and then it should pull right on off. And there we have it. The main gear is exposed. And then there's our housing bushing. And there's a little washer on the main gear drive shaft, so don't lose that. It's like brass or something. And then our main gear should pop right on out. Perfect. And then behind it, there's the second housing bushing that we're going to replace with a ball bearing. So we're going to take a micro flathead, and we're just going to push out that plastic bushing. And I'll show you here in a second which part number that is that we're replacing it with. There we go, our plastic bushings have been removed, or one of them rather, and we're going to replace it with a 2050 5000 BTL that we bought off of Mystic Reel Parts. And you can tell that's like a skinnier bearing than the other one. They are different. So we're just going to pop that into the housing and lock it in. And then boom, we just replaced a plastic bushing with a beautiful sealed stainless ball bearing. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of oil just to help prevent any future corrosion. And then we're going to place the main gear back in. Make sure it's locked in. And then I'm going to spin the rotor, and the main gear appears to be spinning just fine. There I am, just making sure it's in nice and tight, and boom, look at it spin. Already feels much better. While I have the reel open, I'm going to throw some grease on that pinion gear, and then we're going to throw a little bit of oil on the main shaft there. That's going to interface with our other housing bearing that we're about to install. Next housing bearing, I don't know why I bought two of these, but it's a 20 CFT 3000s. They're a little bit thicker than the other housing bearing. Like I said, they are different. So we're going to take one of those bad boys. Now I placed it right on the main shaft there, and then I'm going to put the housing cover on top of it. That definitely worked. Maybe a better technique would be taking that bearing and placing it in the housing cover, and then taking the housing cover and the bearing and going back over that main shaft. So there you go, I'm comparing the ball bearing to the plastic bushing. We're going to take the micro flathead, push out that cheap plastic crap. And now it's ready to go over our brand new beautiful bearing. Here we go, and we're just going to line it up and press that housing cover over it. and make sure it's locked in. And there it is. And make sure our rotor spins freely. It's not bound up. We didn't screw anything up. You did buy the right bearings. We're just checking for that. Now we're going to screw in all the housing cover screws. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. And then at the end you get that little trim piece, so don't forget that or lose those screws. There we go. Now we're going to take our handle assembly. We're going to insert that back in, either left or right side, depending on if you're left or right-handed. And we're going to grab our lock knob, screw that in, and then wham bam, we have a upgraded PENN Wrath, which has been doing a fantastic job lately. It's catching a bunch of fish, and yeah, it's nice and tight with those awesome bearings. The drag system's phenomenal, so I'm very pleased with this reel. And it's a fun project. I love when people look at your stock reel and they assume it's crap, but underneath the hood there's some like major upgrades that make it a really cool reel. All right, as always, thanks for stopping by, and make sure you get out and go fishing. We'll see you all later. Bye.